All right, welcome, detectives, to what is maybe the biggest cold case in, well, all of existence. We're on the hunt for answers to a couple of huge questions. What, if anything, existed before the Big Bang? And maybe more importantly, could you book a flight there? Let's get this investigation started. This really is the ultimate cold case. For the longest time, we've thought of the Big Bang as the absolute beginning. The starting pistol for space, time, everything. But what if that's not the whole story? What if it's just one clue in a much, much bigger mystery? And yeah, for all you aspiring time travelers out there, this is the real kicker, right? Could you actually go there? Is before the Big Bang a real place on the cosmic map? Or does it only exist in our imaginations and some really, really complicated equations? Let's dig in. So, every good detective story starts at the scene of the crime. For us, that's the Big Bang. But we're not going to treat it like a beginning. No, we're going to treat it like the central event, the thing we need to understand to crack this case. Because when you rewind the clock on our universe, everything we see, it all points back to this one single impossibly dense spot. Physicists have a name for this spot, a singularity. And a good way to think about it is it's the place where our scientific rule book, Einstein's equations, the laws of gravity, all that good stuff, it just stops working. It's not nothing. It's just the edge of our map. It's the point where everything we know completely breaks down. So the fact that this singularity even exists has pushed cosmologists to come up with some incredible and kind of wild theories about what might have come before it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to treat these theories like suspects in a cosmic lineup and see what the evidence says. All right, let's meet our suspects. First up, we've got the Big Bounce. Then there's this really mind-bending idea of a timeless start. After that, a super dramatic cosmic collision. And finally, the almost philosophical endless loop. Each one of these paints a totally different picture of what happened before the beginning. First in the lineup, the Big Bounce. This idea comes from a theory called loop quantum cosmology, which basically says space-time is made of these tiny, unbreakable loops. And if that's true, it suggests our universe isn't the first of its kind. Nope, it's just the latest episode in a very, very long series. So how does a universe bounce? Well, picture this. A whole other universe existed before ours, and it was contracting, getting smaller and smaller. It gets insanely dense right up to a critical point. But instead of collapsing into nothing, gravity suddenly flips and becomes repulsive, pushing everything apart in a massive bounce. And that bounce is what created our expanding universe from the ashes of the old one. Okay, our next suspect throws a real wench in the works. It challenges the very question we're asking. What if the word before just doesn't apply? This is called the no boundary proposal, and it suggests that as you get closer and closer to the Big Bang, time itself starts to act less like time and more like another dimension of space. This quote just nails it. Think about it. If you're standing exactly at the North Pole, you can't go any further north, right? The very concept of north stops making sense. Well, in the same way, if time didn't work like a straight line at the dawn of the universe, asking what happened before is a question that might not even have an answer. The universe simply was. Our third suspect is, well, it's way more dramatic. This idea comes from string theory, which suggests that reality has more than 3 dimensions. In this model, our whole universe is like a 3D sheet, they call it a brain, and it's just floating around in a higher dimensional space. The Big Bang, then, wasn't a start from nothing, but the explosive result of another brain smashing into ours. So what was it like before this cosmic crash? According to this theory, it was a totally different kind of existence. Just imagine a vast, cold, dark, and almost perfectly still universe, just kind of floating there, waiting for another brain to come along and smack into it, igniting the fireball that became our entire cosmos. And our final suspect. This one's maybe the most poetic of them all. It's called conformal cyclic cosmology, and it's a theory that sees universes existing one after another, forever, in an endless, infinite loop. So what came before our universe? Another one. And guess what comes after ours? Yep, the beginning of the next one. Okay, stick with me because this is where it gets really wild. This theory connects the super distant end of one universe to the very beginning of a new one. See, after trillions and trillions of years, everything in a universe decays into pure light. At that point, concepts like size and time become totally meaningless.
And that empty, scale-free future, mathematically, it looks exactly like the hot, dense state you need for a new Big Bang. The end literally becomes the new beginning.
All right, so we've seen the lineup. We've got a bounce, a timeless start, a cosmic collision, and an endless cycle. But suspects aren't enough to close the case. We need evidence. So how in the world are scientists actually trying to solve this thing? Oh yeah, this isn't just speculation. Cosmologists are out there right now, searching for cosmic fingerprints. They're scouring the faint afterglow of the Big Bang for any weird patterns, they're hunting for echoes of ancient gravitational waves, and they're mapping out how galaxies are clustered together on the largest scales, all of it hoping to find just one clue that points to one of our suspects.
Which brings us all the way back to that second question. After looking at all the possibilities, what's the verdict? Could you pack a suitcase, hop in a time machine, and actually visit whatever came before our universe?
Yeah, the answer, at least for now, is a pretty firm no. Whatever came before, the Big Bang was such a violent, universe-altering event that the laws of physics themselves were basically rewritten. I'm sorry to say, it's just not a trip that anyone or anything could survive. So here's the big takeaway. Maybe we should stop thinking about the Big Bang as the first sentence of the story. Maybe it's more like a doorway, a connection between our cosmic chapter and whatever came before. Whether it was a bounce, a collision, or just one turn in an endless cycle, the investigation is far from over. The real mystery isn't just how our universe began, but what it's connected to. What do you think is on the other side?